For the past 7 years, I've been working with teachers and students on various research projects that involve students using digital media to represent and communicate their learning. One of the things that has become very clear to me is that allowing students to use new media and multimodal forms of expression that include visual images, sound, music, voiceover narration, gesture, spatial design, as well as print and other kinds of linguistic design, enables them to perform their work in creative ways, just as they might use drama or paint to tell a story to communicate a message. The performative potential of digital media facilitates exploration and creation of digital texts that feature multimodal design, lending voice to the local and global issues that adolescents are most concerned about. I wrote about my own experience of performing my doctoral research using Flash to create an environment for exploring digital poetry in 2008. What I want to share with you today is a new research dissemination project that is being funded by a SSHRC Public Outreach Grant, and this is my attempt to walk the talk. The predominant form of research dissemination resides in the scholars' domain, namely academic conferences and peer-reviewed journals. Despite the fact that there are more online journals created every year, these e-journals still publish articles according to traditional notions of research dissemination. That is, there's a vigorous blind peer review, and if accepted, the article is published as a scholarly text just as it would appear in a printed hard copy of the journal. Despite the fact that researchers have access to more creative ways to express ourselves and to share our work with wider audiences, we seem to be entrenched in this traditional system. Academic research is still typically written in a style and for venues that remain largely inaccessible by the general public and even by the practitioners who might benefit from it. In my case, it's very important that teachers in particular have access to the research I do in order for my work to have any impact. Glesny suggests that to make our work accessible to others beyond the academic community means creating the informs that others will want to read, watch, or listen to, feel and learn from the representations, such as drama and poetry and narrative. Eisner adds that alternative forms of data representation make empathy possible when work on those forms are treated as works of art, provide a sense of particularity that abstractions cannot render, generate insight, and invite attention to complexity. I'm developing research-based mini-documentaries, digital stories, and digital poems to be shared publicly through YouTube, a project website, and social networking media, with the target audience being K-8 students, teachers, parents, educational organizations, the public, as well as the research community. And I purposely create a parallel between my classroom-based research focus on digital literacy's performance texts and the dissemination of my findings through research performance by relying on performance ethnography methods. Sharing literacy education research through songs and videos and digital stories and digital poems with students and educators and parents and the public in general helps make research findings tangible and accessible. It also helps researchers develop new media tools and models for communicating with audiences beyond the academic community and beyond the peer-reviewed journal. The role of community and the public sharing of knowledge and understanding is a key component of the research that I'm conducting on exploring digital literacies through social justice, which is the topic of the other 3 videos in this series. There are important implications for education if we view knowledge generated in educational settings as something to be shared with others in our communities. It enhances a sense of audience, motivating and giving purpose to student learning. It increases the importance of skills needed to communicate with wider audiences. It provides an opportunity for youth to give voice to the things that concern them. It creates school and community links by opening public windows into school learning. It creates self-community links, especially for youth. It reconnects youth in a classroom as part of a caring community working to address the needs of others. And it creates a setting for a meaningful application of the multimodal broadcasting capacities of digital media. The research I'm currently conducting with middle school students and their teachers positions adolescents as agents of change, as they produce digital texts based on issues identified through the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, such as the impact of war, child labor, poverty, Indigenous issues. This MRI-funded research examines the relationship between digital media and adolescents' understanding of global issues. Participants in the study use mobile devices to access, examine, and then produce digital texts. And in this context, we explore how the public performances of students' digital texts reshape the relationship between educational stakeholders, the students, the parents, teachers in the schools, and the wider community, both on a local and global level. As part of the 3-year research plan, students are sharing their work in a variety of venues, both within and beyond the classroom walls, including on a class blog, on the project website, at school assemblies, and through other social networking media. In this research dissemination project, I deliberately mirror that process in order to share or perform the story of this research with a wider audience. Researchers have always told stories. They tell stories and talk with friends and colleagues of research relationships, dramatic field events, and the day-to-day drudgery of doing some research. But they tend to omit such stories from written reports, from scholarly papers. They also leave out discussions of subjective lenses through which they view their research. Rather, they present their research with an authoritative, "this is the way it is" instance, as Glesney puts it. Our professional socialization has discouraged many of us from recognizing the potential usefulness of educational storytelling and from practicing it. And in this research, I'm trying to change that a little bit. In this work, there's a focus on storytelling in both the classroom research, helping students develop multimodal communication skills to communicate their concerns about important issues, and the research dissemination, so performing stories of the research data and findings as videos, digital stories, and poems. The research storytelling is supported by the affordances of new media, where we can easily self-publish multimedia content related to our work, and by our willingness to use communication forms that move beyond printed text, beyond the scholarly article, to include things like videos, songs, animation, drama, and by our willingness to publicly share our work in progress, as I'm doing with you today. In this SSHRC-funded project called Performing Digital Literacies Research, I'll be creating 10 mini documentaries of 6 to 8 minutes each, 1 22-minute documentary, 1 digital ebook, and 1 digital poem or series of poems, and they will be featured on my research website. The dissemination website has already begun, and it talks about the project in general, as well as includes photos from the various research sites. And it talks about the culminating work that the students have engaged in and includes lots of examples from their work, as well as explains in more detail all of the digital literacy centers that the students have been using. Thank you.